Motion to continue and reconvene. All in favor? Okay, we're talking correspondence to the budget. Is there anything we need to discuss on that?
Councillor Bengry, you wanted to talk about something about the budget. What was it?
I think we need to have Jeff, because as Jeff and I listened to the webinar, we were really shocked at the increase in the tax, the 4% increase, and I think we need to have Jeff speak to that, what it's going to do to our budget.
You're talking the 4.2 on the education property tax.
Right.
Did we know about that beforehand at all?
No.
Right out of the blue, as
I think
per.
we budgeted 2%, I believe. So we're gonna have to tweak that a little bit.
By 2%.
So yeah, that was obviously disappointing. And then you have about another 4% this year for the policing costs too, right? So
Right.
77,000, 2.7.
Are we gonna
so
pay
roughly
that?
4. Yeah.
So they are not pushing it back.
Well,
Well, yes and no.
Yeah, so here's the problem. They're saying, well, your fiscal year runs and ends in December, and our fiscal year ends in
In March,
April.
yeah.
So we'll just bill you in January, because it still fits in our fiscal year, but we're also gonna bill you for 2021 as well later in the year.
Oh, good.
And then the other problem, the accounting theory that's simply ignored there is when we accrue, if we take advantage of, or receive a service for something in a calendar year, that's the year we're supposed to tax for it. So to simply say we won't tax for it because they're not going
It's
to
not
bill us.
correct.
We
but
can't
it's
do it.
for 2020, we'd have to have it on the books as a payable at the end of the year. So it didn't effectively really do much. It may have tweaked some cash flow issues for some communities, but it's, I would say, irrelevant for us, frankly.
Is there any appetite to respond to this? I know it will do us no good, but a letter to our MLA about the disappointment that we're feeling about this thing?
Well,
I think
as-
so.
And just as an aside, the forecast is for 4% or so every year for education.
So looking at 16% increase over 4 years then.
4.2 and 3.6 and 4.3 is the forecast, so it's not like this was a one-time bump.
And we've already got our forecast for our policing costs,
Yep.
Yeah.
tentatively,
About to 4 years.
tentatively.
Yeah, for 4 years, we're fairly comfortable, yeah.
Does anybody want to make a motion to dissolve the town of Carson and join the county?
You're still okay. You're still sustainable.
Okay, I mean, one comment, as Jeff said, we have foreseen difficult years many years back. In that sense, we're not in a cash trap position, and I'm grateful for that. Except that we also will see the need to take money out of our reserves for purposes that were not exactly what we intended for, which is what was earmarked, specifically earmarked. We have to be unmarked to pay for expenses if we want to allow the citizens to now not see their tax bill go up astronomically. And that is something we need to consider, because within 3 years, as I was saying earlier, $700,000 shortage in revenue just through what's coming up from the government represents an increase of 25% in tax. Yeah. That's not including any other pretty things that we may want. And so that does not even include the education 12% on the top of that, which now makes it 37% increase in tax, and it does not increase the policing costs, which is another 10-12% above that. So in 3 years, you literally could look at an increase in taxes, if we were to tax, of over 40%, which is unsustainable in a small town like ours, and in any town for that matter. So we're going to have to really take a serious look at what we have and how we will have to use our reserves to kind of flatten up that curve that is exponential right now.
Well, we're looking down the road and we can conjecture if we want, but if we're all in the same boat, I cannot see a provincial government that can be sustainable by dumping everything on the towns. So,
Well, I hear you, but at this point,
understand.
that's what we're given, and we have to build our budget according to what's given.
Well,
Jeff, our solar farm out here, have we started to pay back on that?
No, we haven't had to pay for it yet until it goes live.
Okay, and when it goes live, we're expecting the generation to be able to pay the payments.
yeah.
Yes,
It doesn't cost us.
Okay.
yeah.
That was the whole idea.
I think they're still a month out.
Are they?
Yeah.
So, Councillor, is there an appetite to fire off a letter showing our frustration, our disagreements, our?
Absolutely.
So does anybody got on their calculator and figure out how much the property taxes is going up at 25 and 40%?
Too much. Too much.
Well, look at 40% of your taxes, and you tell me if you can sustain that.
Yeah.
In a town where we cannot attract businesses, nor have another 100 houses pop out of the ground.
No, I was just doing a quick
$1,000 a year for me.
calculation that it comes out to about $100 a month. Extra.
Yeah, but you go ask that to someone who is on a fixed income if $100 a month is palatable.
Yeah. It ain't.
That's-
Yeah.
Now, also on top of that, we got to remember that last council meeting, we discussed this lead study in the water, and we have not calculated
another
any of those
cost.
costs
Yeah.
into this, and that's got to be done this year.
Some of it.
Wow, just
Yeah.
a few.
So
Yeah.
you're looking at roughly $65,000 just for the study, for the testing.
Yeah, but we have reserves there, okay?
A lot of gloom and doom, but we are fortunate that we do have reserves. A lot of towns do not have
So again,
reserves.
remember, in your budget, we will have to tweak it for mill rate, don't get me wrong, but you are reserving another $500,000.
I mean,
this
it's
year.
not as if we don't have money,
We
right?
weren't scraping the bottom
No.
of this budget. Right, you're putting, and again, you intended to put that amount in, it's not like we just had some slush and so we decided to chuck it in there.
Well,
It was intended to be reserved for those purposes, right?
that puts us in an enviable position compared to a lot of our communities around us. Councillor Barnes.
This is a hypothetical question. Well, it's based on what's going on in Fort McLeod. They've just let go all of their
Peace officer.
peace officers, right? What does it cost us for a peace officer as opposed to an RCMP?
Well, it,
Oh, well, it's different because there aren't RCMP available.
Figure.
Yeah, I realize that, but where I'm coming from is,
About 40,000 a year more, I would say, for enhanced policemen, or
What-
enhanced RCMP.
what would it do to our bottom line if we were just to go back to our own policing and not have the RCMP?
you could, it's,
Where
you're
would you-
talking million,
Yeah.
it wouldn't,
We have 8 full-time RCMP at our town.
it's not sustainable, Councillor.
That'd be $3 million a year, I would
Yeah.
guess, $2.5 million a year.
I mean, all your tax revenue would go toward that.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
Okay, that's what I wanted
a
to know.
training facility for CPOs.
okay.
So we might get the.
So we're gonna pay another $77,000 this year, and then it's gonna go up
17.
to 217,000 in the next over 3 or 4 years.
2023,
Look
yeah.
at down the road. Anything else on the AUMA budget analysis now that we're all depressed?
We're all frustrated.
All
Yeah.
I'll mention, and we'll talk about this, it's only March, so we'll talk about it in July. I start keeping a list of planning session items to discuss, and setting up our budget to accommodate these changes over the long term, in my opinion,
Yeah.
might be.
We need
the
to
big
do that.
discussion
Yeah.
today. And looking at the long-term goals and the long-term planning, looking at our rec master plan, looking at infrastructure master plan,
Yeah.
and saying, okay, how do we want to manage these in light of the new fiscal context, right?
Because we cannot tax 45% in 3 years is impossible.
Yeah.
It's
So you'd have a lot of defaults
insane.
on taxes, we'd have a lot of land sales.
You have a lot of people moving into
Yeah,
county.
with nobody to buy them.
Nobody to buy them.
No, I mean, it's insane, right?
Yeah, it is insane.
Other correspondence, Minister Madhu gave us all the good news on his letter as well, so we're thrilled to see that. Is there anything else before we
No.
move on? I'll entertain a motion then.
Put a motion forward to go in closed session.
All in favor? We'll give our media a little bit of time to
Thanks, Corey.
go home and